this is the biggest month for me as an Arsenal fan um, ever, and for the club, the biggest month in the last 20 years. We haven't won. We have the chance of winning the two biggest trophies available, and it's getting clearer and clearer who, which players are going to be available, and what our starting 11s are going to be for the remainder of this month, and perhaps into that final on May the 30th against PSG. The update today from Arteta was interesting. There goes my special red light. Anyway, we'll carry on. Um, uh, he updated today, Jurrien Timber, with that mysterious injury that he got, which he's been out with, groin injury. I mean, it's hard to even pinpoint when he got that. I think it was just after the Wolves game. He was deteriorating a bit in form, but that has been a massive. I mean, his disappearance, Timber's disappearance, has been a large reason for that awful run of form with the Bournemouth loss, the Carabao Cup final loss. For us to have missed him for this final third of the season has been pretty dreadful. But Arteta confirming today that there's a bit of positivity perhaps about him returning. I don't think we're going to see him. It would be, I mean, if he is going to return, it will probably be in time for the PSG game, but in the Champions League final. But I don't think he's going to be fully fit, is he? He's got to get. He's not be. I mean, we've seen him on the side of the pitch a couple of times in it, limping around. I don't know about that. So it's looking clearer and clearer what our starting 11 is going to be for these major games coming up. Ben White confirmed a MCL injury. So who's going to be sitting in that right back? We know for these big moments it's going to be Mosquera. And you know what? There have been times where I wanted Mosquera to start over Ben White in these last few last few months. Ben White is painfully he did start improving a lot, but those early games, I think particularly against Southampton away, he you could tell that he just wasn't quite at the level, but he did start improving, which is a shame. But the positivity, we know for sure Mosquera will be that right back, unless Arteta tries to do something crazy again and put Rice there, which he won't. You can slightly understand why he might have tried to put Rice there against West Ham, trying to keep all the best players on the pitch when we were in a period of dominance. There was a lot of shouting about that, but in that right back position, you receive a lot of the ball. So in a way, you can kind of understand why you would want one of your best players in that position if it works. And we know Rice can play in those positions. We know he can play sort of anywhere. And if he's going to get more of the ball in an area where he can be impactful, particularly crossing the ball in on that right side, I understand the decision, but we know that it was not the right one considering how that affected the momentum of the game. But we know for sure Mosquera will be the guy who will be in that position for the next for our final Premier League games and most likely that Champions League final, unless Timber can get a surprise high level of fitness by then, get to match fitness. And actually, you know what? I thought Mosquera, it was interesting. Arteta had this choice before, and it was a City away. Arteta made the choice of Mosquera starting at right back against Doku. And for me, that one worked. He had a chance. I think Ben White was fit because he'd played the recent games, but he just wasn't playing quite at the level. He may have had a setback or something, but I seem to remember he was fit enough to play because he'd played in the Sporting game beforehand. So was it the Sporting game or whatever the game was before City? He did play that. And Mosquera dealt well with Doku, which gives me a bit of positivity for Mosquera against perhaps Kvaratskhelia. It could be Kvaratskhelia against Mosquera, which would be an interesting matchup. I like Mosquera as a defender. We didn't buy him as a primary right back. He was a centre back that can play in both the left centre back and the right centre back position. That's why we got him. But Arteta has been increasingly confident to play him in these moments. I was surprised he didn't come at West Ham, but we've kind of talked about that. But I think, sorry, I'm going on a tangent here, but I do think him in that right back position, as we saw against Doku, he might be able to deal with something. He's a more solid, and actually he's quite tidy on the ball. In those moments where, in that right area of the pitch, where that top right area of the pitch on the edge of the opponent's box, where our right backs get a lot of touches. Sometimes I think Ben White makes the wrong decision, but Mosquera is pretty tidy and pretty sensible with it. I guess what we would lose with that is the ability to get the balls into the box. But Mosquera, on the other hand, does bring, I think, more physicality, and he's pretty rapid as well. Well, this video anyway is titled it's sort of the biggest history, Arsenal's biggest month in recent history. I think we've got to acknowledge what happened yesterday with City for another 3-0 win. They do look like, I think the majority of people would have probably put City to have finished with the better goal difference when you start listing that attacking side. From Foden, Foden comes on and does 2 assists, and you got Doku and Semenyo, Cherki, Marmoush coming in. So Pep resting a lot of players there, and they still managed to pick up the points. That Everton game is looking more and more like an incredible moment, even though they should have probably won 5-2. That has been, that is absolutely massive. Now you look at that and you just think that City have got the firepower now to go on and get that goal difference, the better goal difference. Arsenal is pretty clear what they got to do: win both games, and we now know what that team is going to look like. As things move. Well, the most immediate thing to think about right now is Burnley at home. I did see that Pep Guardiola is doing up to his tricks again of saying to Burnley to get it firing up opponents by saying to them he's going to buy them all a Rolex if they beat Arsenal. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. There's going to be a heck of a catalogue of City gaffes and things. If Arsenal go and win this, my God, it'd be incredible. I sound like Kevin Keegan here, but I will love it. I mean, remember that moment when City beat us and Haaland did the side-eye thing and started singing that, the song about, oh, something's going to be a good feeling or whatever that was. Remember that, and remember how that would look if you don't win the league. I mean, that's phenomenal, and all these things that Pep's been doing. So, City are rotating ahead of the Chelsea, the FA Cup final. They then go and play Bournemouth away. Bournemouth, while we play Burnley on Monday, we should walk that Burnley game. It slightly scares me as a sort of a game that's sort of gone under the radar a bit, because we had a lot of focus on West Ham and the celebration. We celebrated after West Ham. Erdegaard was pretty level-headed in his interview, saying, just like moving on to the next one. A lot of the fan base, including me, have kind of lost it. But now you get nervous again after that City result. But City go and play Bournemouth away. That is a big opportunity. They are the top 4 most informed teams in the league at the moment. Slight concern is they are losing their right back, who was phenomenal against us because of whatever. I don't know the details of what he's done, but he's not going to be available, I imagine. Jimenez was bloody. I mean, he was a top. He played very well against us at the Emirates, so I guess Bournemouth will not have him at right back. I don't know how that will affect them, but he was very good at getting forward. So that's a slight pain that they all play a weakened Bournemouth side in a sense, but they've got to go away and they still got good confidence. They won the other day, so that gives me a bit of belief. Still, there is a chance that Bournemouth can do something there. So we'll look ahead to that. So I think there's going to be a huge event on Monday. You're going to have another bus parade, another flare welcome with all the flares of the bus for the Arsenal bus when it arrives at the Emirates to play Burnley. The players really responded to that. They responded to that at Atletico Madrid away, and you can see that everyone was shocked by how they've never seen the Emirates like that. And I think that plays a huge part in the run-in now, and the supporters, the backing, giving that extra energy to the players and excitement and motivation is a huge reason for the positivity at the moment. But it's absolutely vital for this run-in to give those players that hope and energy. Now, so that's a big moment. The two other games, so we know that City have to play. Who is it that City have to play after Bournemouth? Aston Villa. That's the game. I think you can say Aston Villa at home that City are going to guarantee we win that. Will we play Palace away? Now we know that it's going to be the last game for a couple of Palace player, the Palace manager, and so that adds a little bit. That's their last home game for him. So that adds a bit of atmosphere for it. But 3 days later, of course, they've got the Europa Conference final. Surely they will be resting players for that. Surely. So that you have to hope that those two games, Burnley at home and Palace away, fall nicely into Arsenal's favour there. Aston Villa, Man City, Aston Villa, that last game for City, we know Emery will chuck that, as he does. Arsenal, we'll have one eye on the Champions League final, but I don't know. I think this has got to be. I mean, I look at these fixtures and I think this is a huge moment, isn't it? You've just got to say it has to happen. It has to happen now. I've been thinking all along about how much effort some of these players have. Has Rice missed a game this season? Maybe 3. He's maybe missed 3 games. They've got to be thinking about the World Cup as well and how badly they want to get out there. How devastating it would be to get an injury at this point. I just hope that it is a scary moment, but what a huge time this is to be an Arsenal fan. And I'm just hoping and talking myself through it that we are going to be able to do this. So I think I'm just going to leave it there for this update. Thank you very much for watching. We go again.